Fulton J. Sheen begins The Two Revolutions by reminding us that a revolution is far more than a political event or a change in leadership. A true revolution alters the way people understand truth, authority, freedom, and even the meaning of being human. In every age, Sheen argues, society is shaped by competing revolutions, some that build civilization and others that quietly destroy it. In his own time, Sheen saw these revolutions collide dramatically in the aftermath of war, the rise of communism, and the growing rejection of God in public life. Today, although the language has changed, the conflict remains unmistakably the same. Sheen identifies two revolutions that stand in direct opposition to one another. One is the revolution of Christ, which transforms society by transforming souls. The other is a godless revolution, which seeks to remake society through power, resentment, and force. Though both claim to seek justice, only one is rooted in truth and charity. The first revolution Sheen describes is the revolution of Christ. This is not a political uprising or a violent overthrow of authority. It is a revolution that begins quietly, invisibly, within the human heart. Christ did not call his followers to seize power, but to surrender themselves. He did not promise instant social equality, but eternal truth. The Christian Revolution seeks to change society from the inside out by calling each person to repentance, humility, and love. Sheen emphasizes that this revolution is interior before it is exterior. Laws, systems, and governments may shape behavior, but only the conversion of the heart can shape character. Christ's revolution demands personal responsibility rather than collective blame. It insists that before we can change the world, we must first allow God to change our souls. In Sheen's time, this message stood in sharp contrast to ideologies that promised utopia through economic systems or political restructuring alone. Central to the revolution of Christ is a proper understanding of freedom. Sheen explains that true freedom does not come from rejecting authority, but from submitting to truth. Christ liberates not by removing moral limits, but by revealing their purpose. Obedience to God, far from enslaving the human person, restores dignity and order. In contrast to the totalitarian regimes of Sheen's era, which demanded absolute loyalty to the state, Christianity recognizes a higher authority that no government can replace. In Sheen's lifetime, Christianity was often portrayed as weak or outdated when compared to revolutionary movements promising rapid social change. Today, the faith is frequently dismissed as restrictive or incompatible with personal autonomy. Yet the Christian Revolution remains timeless precisely because it challenges every age. It asks people not to assert themselves, but to deny themselves, not to dominate others, but to serve them, not to demand rights without duties, but to embrace sacrifice as the path to renewal. Opposed to the revolution of Christ is the second revolution Sheen describes, the revolution without God. This revolution begins with the rejection of divine authority and ends with the exaltation of human power. In Sheen's time, communism represented the clearest expression of this godless revolution. It openly denied God, reduced human beings to economic units, and promised justice through material equality enforced by the state. Sheen explains that the roots of this revolution lie in envy disguised as justice and resentment masquerading as compassion. When God is removed, there is no longer an objective moral law to guide society. As a result, ideology replaces truth and power replaces conscience. The revolution without God promises equality without virtue, justice without charity, and freedom without moral responsibility. In Sheen's era, this revolution revealed itself through centralized power, censorship, persecution of religion, and widespread fear. Today, the same spirit often appears in subtler forms. Rather than tanks and prisons, it operates through cultural pressure, ideological conformity, and social exclusion. Instead of secret police, there is public shaming. Instead of official propaganda, there is algorithm-driven messaging. Though the methods have changed, the goal remains the same. Control thought by removing God from public and private life. A key distinction Sheen makes between the two revolutions lies in their approach to suffering and sacrifice. The Christian revolution is built on sacrifice freely embraced. Christ suffers for others, and his followers are called to do the same. Love in this revolution always involves cost. By contrast, the Godless Revolution rejects personal sacrifice and instead demands the sacrifice of others. When individuals refuse to suffer for truth, they eventually justify making others suffer for ideology. Sheen also warns of the danger of separating justice from charity. Justice alone, when stripped of love, becomes cold, rigid, and cruel. Charity without justice may become sentimentality, but justice without charity becomes oppression. The revolution without God often speaks passionately about justice while rejecting forgiveness, mercy, and moral accountability. In such systems, punishment replaces redemption, and enemies are eliminated rather than converted. At the heart of these two revolutions is a fundamental disagreement about the nature of the human person. The Christian revolution sees each person as a child of God, possessing inherent dignity that cannot be granted or revoked by the state. The Godless Revolution reduces the person to a tool, valuable only insofar as they serve the system, the economy, or the cause. Sheen foresaw a future in which people would trade truth for comfort, freedom for security, and conscience for approval. That future, Sheen warned, would not arrive suddenly, but gradually, one compromise at a time. Sheen insists that every generation must choose between these two revolutions. This choice is unavoidable and deeply personal. One may choose conversion or coercion, truth or power, charity or ideology. There is no neutral ground. Silence in the face of moral error always strengthens the revolution that shouts the loudest. In conclusion, Sheen reminds us that the true Christian revolution does not begin in legislatures, courts, or streets, but in the soul of each individual. Societies do not collapse because they lack systems. They collapse because they lack saints. Only a return to God, grounded in justice, animated by charity, can prevent civilization from repeating cycles of violence, division, and despair. As in Sheen's time, the future of the world today depends not on slogans or structures, but on hearts willing to be transformed by truth. It's time for the conversation that ties it all together. If you're in a group, now's the perfect time to grab your review questions and jump right into some awesome discussion. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and let's see what wisdom everyone brings to the table. The real magic happens when we learn from each other.